underneath the floor panel
Oh.
that, I mean,
Sorry, just a second. Sorry.
Did somebody or Jake or so we're crossing the colors every day, and Friday's orange. That's like,
That's why I thought.
yeah, she emailed me today.
I was just like, all the time, I thought.
Welcome to the May 6th, 2025 school board meeting. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 1.2, opening and setting of agenda for meeting.
Yeah, I'm asking that we move 3.2 and 3.3 to after 3.12. That way Stacy Patrick has a prior commitment, and that way she can move out and get to her prior commitment.
So don't be alarmed, Michelle or Josh, if she walks out on you. It's not anything personal.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, she heard your half an hour.
Yeah. I'll take a motion to approve the setting of the agenda.
So,
Thank you. And a second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 1.3, audience participation. Yes. Mrs.
Board
Greer.
prior PEA, item 3.12, legislative update.
As expected. All right. Moving on to the consent agenda. Before we do that, I would like to make a motion to table the termination 2.9 to the June agenda. Making a motion, I'd look for a second to approve that move to June. Second. Thank you. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And then now I take a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Motion.
Thank you. And second.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
I have a question.
Yes.
The 2018 bond for Lincoln Junior High, when is that paid off? Is that supposed to be paid off?
Oh, no,
No?
because that was a big bond, you know, to build the junior high. I would have to look at
I think it's 2036.
yeah, it's a long time. I would have to look at my records to know when that will be paid off.
And how many bonds do we have open already?
We have, 2018, we have a general obligation bond
22.
from 22, and that's it. We paid off, I believe, the 2017 bond. That was paid off right before I started this position. So 2.
Thank you.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, down to business transactions. 3.1, recognition of service. Mr. Ward Byers. Mr. Ward Byers, 3.1.
How is everyone?
You can talk louder.
Sure,
Sorry.
I can.
No, I meant me. I was talking louder for you to hear.
Got it. Thank you. Hey, this evening, I want to recognize a staff member who in a few short weeks will be leaving us, moving into retirement with her husband. Sue Brewitt has spent the last 10 years with us, starting at Plymouth High School, and has most recently been at Lincoln Junior High as a safety monitor. Sue will be entering retirement with her recently retired husband, Master Trooper Mike Brewitt. So wanted to take a few moments to say thank you to Sue. Sue has been more than a safety monitor. Quite frankly, she's been a mentor. She has been a good friend to many of our students. She's connected well. She's helped our students and staff, but more importantly, she has at times served as mom to those kids who needed a mom or someone to talk to. And So Sue has been invaluable in her position over these last 10 years. And since I came here 2 years ago, I always knew that Lincoln was under control. I didn't have any issues because Sue just handles things and keeps things under control, and I appreciate that. So I wanted to say thank you to her this evening, not farewell, not goodbye, but thank you. And Sue, would you join me briefly, please? I have a little something that I would like to read to you on behalf of Indiana Governor Mike Braun and State Representative Jack Jordan, to whom all these presents may come greetings. Whereas the early leaders of our state gathered in Corydon, Indiana in 1816 to adopt the first Indiana Constitution and to create the state of Indiana. Whereas Corydon, Indiana is Indiana's first capital and a center of leadership in the early and formative years of our state. Whereas, like founders of our great state, many others have made remarkable contributions to the betterment of Indiana and to its people, and therefore are deserving of consideration and membership in the Indiana General Assembly's Circle of Corydon. Whereas State Representative Jack Jordan has made known the illustrious benefactions of Sue Gruitt, who has demonstrated in life and in service to the people of the state of Indiana the qualities exemplified by our state's greatest citizens. Being deemed worthy of such recognition, the individual Sue Gruitt above is hereby declared a distinguished member of the Circle of Corydon, signed by Governor Mike Braun and State Representative Jack Jordan.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Safety Sue. I mean, you could close out with having your real name on the side.
Yeah. Always be.
Exactly.
Thanks, Ward.
Thank you.
All right, so on to,
And they do not have to stay.
yeah, you're welcome to leave. You're welcome to take it all in if you want, but you can. We're going to jump to. 3.4. Yes, 3.4. 3.4, consider appointment of deputy treasurer, Mrs. Jen Bucky.
All right, I would like to recommend the appointment of Amanda Bender. Amanda is here. She's our human resource specialist as our new deputy treasurer. Amanda's been with us for about 2 months, and she's proven to be an invaluable asset to the business department, and she brings with her experience, a lot of experience in accounting and HR, as well as multiple degrees in that area. So I ask that you approve her to be our new deputy treasurer.
Thank you. I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion or questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations. 3.5, consider adoption of resolution 2025-2 to dispose of certain personal property. Bus. This is Jen Bucky.
Yeah, so we have a bus that we really can't use anymore. It is not safe. It has a rusted out frame, and according to Mr. Byers, it is going to, I guess, the fire department for extraction training. So I ask that you approve of the disposal of this 2008 bus.
Thank you. I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 3.6, consider adoption of resolution 2025-3 to dispose of certain personal property, dump truck.
So we have a very old dump truck that I think maybe they used a little bit this winter, but it is really not fit for use according to Mr. Schoaf. And I have a letter from the Weir Service Department saying it needs to be taken out of commission and service. Really won't have any value. So I ask that you approve of the disposal of this dump truck.
Take a motion to approve.
Motion.
Thank you. And a second? Whichever one you want to. Thank you. Any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 3.7, consider adoption of resolution 2025-4, designee for SEEC contract.
So this resolution asks for your approval for Dr. Van Driesch and I to full and co-equal authority to enter into a contract for special education excess costs with the IDOE. And I think this is kind of a standard procedure that has happened previous.
Take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you, and a second.
Second.
Thank you, any questions or discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 3.8, consider adoption of resolution 2025-5 regarding 403B plan administrators. Mrs. Felke.
Okay, we need to change our plan administrators to be Amanda and myself and remove Stephen Boyer, Zaida Annette Hodges, and Elizabeth Mangus. So I'm asking that you approve the change of our Lincoln Fidelity Group plan administrators.
Thank you. Take a motion to approve.
Motion.
Thank you, and a second.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 3.9, consider revisions to the classified conditions of employment. Mrs. Buffy.
So we have just some formatting and just some word changes in here in addition to some changes with regards to cell phone policy, also changing some positions from hourly to salaried, as well as eliminating some positions that we no longer have. So I ask that you approve the changes in the classified conditions.
Thank you. I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you. And a second.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion, questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All
Good job, Jen. 3.10, new and revised policies and guidelines, first reading.
There are 5 policies or administrative guidelines here for the first reading. If you have any questions about these, please let me know before the next meeting. And I also want to shout out to Amy Krasik for all her work on the wellness policy, which has required several meetings over a long stretch of time. So good job, Amy.
All right, 3.11, consider Blueberry Festival Agreement 2025, Mr. Ringworter.
Yep, each year we enter into an agreement with the Blueberry Festival for the use of our facilities. This agreement has been Charlotte Tyree approved, and I thank her for all that she does on behalf of the PCSC group for all she does with Blueberry, and I recommend the approval of the agreement presented.
Blueberry was there. Take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you, and a second.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 3.12, legislative update.
Yeah, Senate Bill 1 has been passed, signed into law. The impact of that on PCSC will be a reduction in revenue for our operations fund, estimated at approximately 5% or about $500,000 annually when you're comparing that to the funding level that we should have received under the previous law. However, when you use the projections based on the current law alone, the decrease appears less significant. We anticipate a reduction of about $141,000 next year in the operations budget, followed by a modest increase, about 2.8%, or $282,000 in the second year. That's in a gain, and a further increase, 3.3%, about $350,000 in the final year of the biennium. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of what Jen's been dealing with. Senate Bill 287, the School Board Candidate Disclosure Bill, requires school board candidates to either declare a political party affiliation, state that they are independent, or opt to disclose, not to disclose any affiliation. And that passed 26-24 out of the Senate, and that is going to be law. Under this requirement, you declare a party, Republican, Democrat, or Independent, or just say that you're not going to disclose. If you do the non-disclosure, then you don't have a party label next to your name at all on the ballot. House Bill 1001 includes key changes to education funding, state tuition support. There will be a 2% increase in state tuition support in each of the next 2 years. The curriculum materials, which was debated pretty hotly there, funding for the curriculum materials will be included included in the foundation amount rather than listed as a separate line item. And the teacher appreciation grant has been really sabotaged or changed. The grant structure significantly revised, so there are 3 different categories: recognition, exemplary, and exemplary plus. Recognition is a stipend of $3,500. Exemplary is $5,000, and exemplary plus is $7,000. However, only 20% of the school corporation's teachers may be classified within these 3 categories. So that's going to be interesting to negotiate, I think. Senate Bill 146, teacher compensation, introduces important changes aimed at improving teacher compensation and support. The minimum teacher salary is increasing from $40,000 to $45,000. We are currently at $47,000, so we are good there. Compensation allocation requirement requires the school corporation to allocate at least 65% of the state tuition support towards teacher compensation, an increase from the current 62%. We are currently above 65%, so we are good there. Paid parental leave was eliminated from the bill. And that's all I have, so I'll let Laura take it from there.
All right, well, thank you. You covered many of the issues. If you were paying attention to the General Assembly, what happened is in April, they came out with a new forecast that was a lot less, projecting about a $2.4 billion shortfall, and that led to some very intense negotiations within the last week of the session, and they went into the early hours of the last day before a budget was released. So as Mitch talked about, what we're looking at are potential losses within our corporation and looking at having to tighten the belt, and that would be in all areas. So, the best way to do that is always lead by example and have it where each group is responsible for helping with the overall financial health of the corporation. There are a couple areas that we're strong in. Teacher compensation is one, as you mentioned, that we're already at $47,000 for our beginning teachers. As that state law moves it up to $45,000. The partisan school board, that Senate Bill 287, one area, if I read this right, and you can verify this, if a candidate declares a party, and then there's a vacancy of said candidate, it will be filled by caucus, as opposed to by the school board that traditionally does that.
I have not
Okay,
seen that.
so that would be something for us to look at. Again, there's so much information, it's, sometimes you see a little bit and then you're wondering, okay, did I really see that?
Right.
But that is definitely an area we need to talk about.
Yeah,
If you don't declare a party, then it would be the traditional way of the school board.
Yeah.
Those who kind of understand what the job is,
right.
picking somebody to fill that vacancy. The budget with the tag. So let me go into more detail of this. So the Teacher Appreciation Grant has been around as a way to attract, maybe retain and reward teachers for their work. And they are going to reduce that amount slightly from $37.5 million to $35.63 million each year. But the biggest concern is how they redesign the tag. So as Mitch was talking about this, what this means is that we cannot identify more than 20% of our certified teachers. Right now, I'd say probably 98 is a rough guess, receive a tag amount in December. And that usually typically amounts to maybe $500, $600, and it's based on if you're highly effective or if you are effective. And there's a couple other little criteria in there. Well, the IDOE is going to give the corporation a rubric in which they're going to list some of that criteria, and then it's going to be up to the corporation to identify who those lucky teachers are. And with our number of staff, we're talking 40 to 50 lucky teachers if you decide to go the 20%, providing, you have to look at how much money you're giving. So who are those teachers going to be? That will be the discussion, and you can bet I'll be right back here asking those names and asking, how did you come up with that? I liken it to the literacy stipends that come out. And I'll just give you a little story to kind of compare with it. That goes typically from K through 3 teachers. I had the 4th grade teachers call me and saying, well, wait a minute, I'm part of this. We work with these students as well. Why don't we get the stipend? Well, good question. It's, of course, that's the way the state wrote the law. Now we're gonna have, where we're gonna have a lot of teachers asking us, well, wait a minute, why did you choose so-and-so? What was your criteria? We need to be very transparent on this. I think that's gonna be extremely important. And there are gonna have to be questions that are gonna have to be decided of if they get it 1 year, are they gonna be able to get it the next year? I don't know what the criteria is. I think the law is kind of silent on that. And then as a teacher, while that amount sounds nice for 1 year, that might mess up my taxes a little bit, so I gotta be aware of that too. But again, 40 to 50 lucky teachers, when we have over 200 teachers that I can assure you work very hard for this corporation. Fun times ahead, that's what we're at, all right?
That big barrel with the names in it?
Yes, it might be, all right. Well, that's my update, thank
All
you.
right, thank you, Lauren. All right, so, now going back to 3.2, Riverside Intermediate School Update, Mrs. Michelle Zentz.
So we're gonna
Come on down.
bring Mrs. Watterson with me.
Yeah.
So we wanted to present a little bit about Riverside, tell you some of the great things that have been happening. So we are an extension of those elementary schools, but we're not quite Lincoln, so we find ourselves in that kind of sweet spot where we get kids that are still kids, but are trying to figure out who they're going to be. So it's really a great time. We really spent a lot of time this year focusing on instruction and our professional learning communities and getting to know the curriculum that we're teaching, the learning strategies that are being used, and asking why do we do things a certain way we do them. And that really led into our guiding coalition.
One of the first things that we did at the beginning of the year was go over our collective commitments as a whole school. And so our guiding coalition came together, we created this updated version. We had collective commitments, they were very wordy. This is much more to the point. We've got these printed on posters, we have these hanging in shared spaces where we have staff meetings, and these are things that we are reminded as we get into our meetings. So in order to create the school that will achieve our purpose and our goals, we commit to the following: an environment, create a positive and safe learning environment for all; expectations, collaborate with others to provide clear and high expectations for all learning; student learning, develop and administer common formative assessments to monitor student learning on an ongoing basis; and data analysis, analyze data and results and intervene to address the learning needs. So all of these collective commitments really go hand in hand with our next slide, which is our data protocol that we worked on.
So we found out as we were going through this year that we have all of this data coming at us, and different content areas, different teachers, different backgrounds, and we were looking at the data very, very differently. So we needed to get on board with a common form of communication. So that first hyperlink there, Mrs. Watterson and Mrs. Tanner, our instructional coach, created a gallery walk for our staff during professional development where they were able to look at actual data protocols that other buildings have used, that Solution Tree has recommended, and they were able to create their own that we all use now. So that when we come together and talk about our student data, we're using common language, looking for common goals, and it is really driving us forward when we're talking about what is great learning strategies, what are great teaching practices, versus, well, you know, that kiddo was absent that day, or someone had a sore throat, or it was just not really focusing on the facts at hand. So we are definitely shifting, and this was part of our guiding coalition, and it was a really powerful day when we came together and were able to create this.
And all staff had input on that data protocol initially, and then we went down to the guiding coalition, so that was very cool to see. So I am first year in Plymouth. I'm Natalie Watterson, I'm the assistant principal, so this is the first year that I've been involved with Plymouth as a whole, but really in the professional learning communities as they are. So when I came in, there was a bit of culture shock to that, because you use PLC in a school all the time. That's an acronym that's used readily. But a lot of people use it differently. It could be a team meeting. It could just be a small, quick meeting where you talk about a few things here and there. But here at Plymouth, the PLCs are true PLCs, and they are really down to the nitty gritty. So these are just two screenshots that we have of some of our meetings. And coming into these, now with our data protocol, we have continuity. We don't just have all departments using something different but still trying to analyze data. We have that data protocol where we come in The professional learning communities have our collective commitments that we go through, and then also working on that data protocol to continue that continuity of our data analysis and helping us do what's best for students, whether that's curriculum-wise, whether that's data analysis, whatever that is moving forward. The professional learning communities really are valuable, and I have had a great learning experience with them so far this year implemented.
Part of this also for our professional learning communities, it's not just our content area teachers, but we have our special education teachers, our E&L teachers, they are all part of those communities as well. We also implemented behavior academy this year, which is part of a professional learning community, and that is something we're looking to grow moving forward to help our students.
And that was really beneficial this year. So we had, at the beginning of the year, we saw a spike in physicality amongst students where we were having suspensions for things of that nature. So students that met a certain criteria based on discipline were put into this behavior academy, which was called Hands Off. We had a special education teacher, Ellen Gaines, who took the ropes of that and really worked with the kids. She and I together planned different things. The students worked to have goals so that once they finished the behavior academy, they really had something that they learned that was tangible for them to take back out into the classroom when they finished that behavior academy. And again, like Michelle said, that's part of a PLC. So that was a very beneficial piece for our students as well.
So our next step with all of this, we're always looking forward. We're very excited for next year, but one of the parts that our coach is definitely helping us with is we know Menominee is a promising practices school this year. We know that Webster is a model PLC. Those are places we would love to be. We're not there yet, but we are looking to apply. So we are starting that process of collecting all of the data, showing what our students have been able to do, how far we've come from where we were. So that is our focus going into next year, is that we are going to apply to be a promising practices school as well.
So data is huge to me in general, but then when you come into Riverside and look at what we're doing with our PLCs and different activities, data is huge. So we don't just involve staff with data. These are data posters that are in the 5th and the 6th grade hallway wings. These are posted on windows where all the students pass, so they can see the data of iReady scores. They can see the colors. It's easy for them to see where the students are falling. There's no names. It's nothing specific. It's just numbers. The kids can really see based on those colors where that grade level is at in regard to reading and in math. This is something that is so powerful for kids to see. We have very visual kids. We have kids that are very, very much into video games and online activities in general, where they're getting scores, they're seeing different things like that. And for them to really engage with the data is huge, especially at the 5th and 6th grade level, where data can sometimes be that all-encompassing word of, oh, I don't really know what that means, what are we looking at? But for the kids to see this, and it's updated by Jeannie Tanner, our instructional coach, the kids can see this, and it's an ongoing process. You can hear some of that excitement when we get ready to take our next round of iReady testing, and they're going to see the movement of the data. So it's really nice to see, and just to have that visual again of data around the building is moving that needle. We're moving that needle. We're trying to get better every time that we take that test, that we go through a school year.
We're not just all work. We do enjoy having a little bit of fun as well. So we like to highlight staff on those very important days today. This week is Teacher Appreciation Week. We've had lots of goodies and coffee and snacks and all the things. But this was SRO Day, so Mrs. Watterson found these amazing sweatshirts that have like red lightning bolts behind. The man in the middle on our shirts is Mr. Fort Byers, surrounded by Officer DeLee and Officer Height. So we wore those probably all day. We got a good laugh. The kids couldn't figure out why we were wearing them, so it was a lot of fun. So we also like to enjoy our time there, so the kids can see us having a good time. It means a lot to them.
And we will take special orders should anyone want to order.
We're thinking hats, like whole thing.
On the same token here with safety, based on PTO budgeting and the success of our concession stand sales, we have been able to purchase a second AED. This AED will be placed at the back of the building at door 8. So this will have Riverside with 2 AEDs, one at the front of the building, one at the back of the building. And as we spoke about Blueberry Festival using facilities, this second AED at door 8 is going to be further back in the building, which is closer to parking and just different areas that was used during the Blueberry Festival. So this addition is fantastic for us, just overall.
And part of what kind of spearheaded that additional funding through our concessions is Our third roster party, we typically take all the kids on a bus, go to Showland,
I'm so glad
back
you
traffic
said
up by
that.
Walmart. It's an event, but we held it in-house this year during the school day, which was really great for our families that have a lot of after-school activities. And our service club ran the concessions. And I will say Mrs. Gordon and our service club did a phenomenal job. They, in between showings, they were in there cleaning. It was spotless. The custodians were very thrilled with how it worked, but this is what helped to purchase the cabinet for the AED. So one of those things where we asked why do we do this? And then we just made that change this year.
Math Bowl competed at Walkerton Elementary School. This is the 5th and 6th grade team with first-year coaches, not first-year teachers, but just first-year coaches. They took 2nd place overall, so they did a wonderful job. They were very excited. All students that you see in that picture participated at some level within the Math Bowl competition, so they weren't just sitting on the sides and cheering people on. Everyone in that picture really got in and down to the nitty-gritty of competing and doing some math problems. So again, took 2nd place overall, and we were very proud of the success of Riverside at that competition.
And then we get to the composting project. So you may have noticed we have some of our wonderful 5th graders here. So this composting project took on a life of its own. Our instructional coach, Mrs. Tanner, Mr. Hunter, and Mrs. Good wanted to provide an enrichment project during our Riverside time, which is basically enrichment or intervention time. So these 4 students volunteered to come today. They're going to introduce themselves and just tell you from their perspective about the composting project.
So, hi, I am Chase Lawrence, and from my perspective of the project, I feel like we definitely did do a lot, and we got a lot accomplished, but we do still have a lot more to aim at and what we are going to do in the future.
Hello, my name is Providence Metters, and I feel like we have also gotten very far with this project because we've hosted some events, like where one time we did a walkthrough of just a bunch of different presentations everyone put together, and at one point in the school year we also put together a composting bucket for the cafeteria.
Hi, my name is Olivia Kamala, and I feel like helping with teaching people how to compost.
Hi, my name is Pete Jones, and I think we've been helping a lot because, like they have stated, we've done the composting buckets, the presentation walkthrough, and a bunch of other stuff.
So we're really proud of our kiddos. They actually presented in front of the mayor. So they've done an amazing job. They did have some flowers out front. So I was super excited to see those sitting there with Mr. Hunter. So they are doing several things, and they're looking forward to continuing the project next year when they become 6th graders. So this is just one of those things that it started as an idea, and it's taken hold.
There's so much excitement surrounding this. When the kids are working on it, you can really feel it. It's one of those pieces in a school where it's not just sitting and doing, it's really hands-on. The kids are really excited, and again, they just kind of are buzzing when you're around this project. There's just like a hive. The little bees are moving and working and doing, and it's just been really cool to see and witness the progression of this project.
So we wanted to highlight these kiddos as one of our last slides, so we had to ask them to come in.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to end with this quote. Every year, every administrator, teachers take pride in beautifying bulletin boards. It's one of the pride pieces of a school. We updated our bulletin boards this year, and this is a quote that's in the office. You cannot get through a single day without having an impact on the world around you. What you do makes a difference, and you have to decide what kind of difference you want to make. That's from Jane Goodall. And it's just a reminder that we as educators in the field have such an impact on students. It's why we're here, it's why we do what we do. And Riverside has been an amazing school to be at this year. Plymouth has been an amazing corporation to be at this year. And that's just what I wanted to end with as some significant appreciation.
Thank you guys very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Follow that Troyer. Yeah, watch my one first.
3.3 athletic update.
I'll try to keep this to 31 minutes and 25 seconds.
Oh, sorry.
We gotta wait for our cars out
I
there.
don't know why my car's doing this. You go ahead, Joe.
Okay.
I can listen.
Got it.
Walk
Sorry.
back.
Not sure why I popped in
I
the
know.
middle.
Might be that
That's
my
okay.
car.
First off, I wanted to start with, actually I'd forgotten this one, and their presentation reminded me. One of the things I'm super proud of, and the help of Ward Byers and our new athletic trainers as well, we now have 7 AEDs at our outside facilities. So anytime we have an outside facility that's not in the school we have 2 already, so they're by our indoor facilities as well. But essentially every athletic facility we participate at has an AED within a minute's reach. So super proud of that. When we started, I think I had 2 total. So now we're up to almost 9 total within the high school and outside of the high school. So super proud of that, and super thankful to have that added to our overall athletic kind of safety venture as well. So with that, first I wanted to start off with showing you a couple of our state qualifiers. Super proud of them this year. Angel Smith, this was the first year for officially girls wrestling. We have had it in the past, it just wasn't an IHSA sanctioned sport. So this is the first year for the IHSA girls wrestling sectional, and she placed 3rd at that. Was actually really close to being in the championship match, and just had a couple things not go her way. So she's a sophomore, she's got a few more years still left. I can tell you she's extremely motivated to end up at the top of that podium. We look forward to kind of seeing her continue that success as well. And then next up, Jersey Hunter. As a junior, she placed 12th this year at the bars. If you remember last year, she made it to the state finals in vault. This year, she's made it in bars, and very recently recovering from injury, so wasn't sure she was even going to be back for the entire gymnastics season. Actually was able to compete the entire year. She is still on pace right now to break the overall career points for Plymouth in gymnastics. We were concerned about that after she got injured in track last year, but was able to get back, had a really successful season, was able to only do most of her full events right before the sectional meet, so she wasn't doing those for a lot of safety reasons. So to still make it to state finals and place 12th was a huge success for her, especially at an event that we are traditionally not strong in, and they would all tell you that same thing. So it was really cool to see her down there and have some good success at the bars as well. And then finally, Siri Hendricks, one of our foreign exchange students, was able to qualify in girls swim. She placed 33rd at the state meet, so super proud of her. And again, all of our swimmers, we've got a lot of records broken in both gymnastics and swimming this winter. So a lot of really good momentum going in both those sports this winter as well. So next, I always like to give numbers because you always hear whether or not our numbers are down. But just if you look at our numbers, that is not the case. You can say there. So on the left is 2025, on the right is 2024. So our overall boys numbers are up 18 total boys. The one thing that this does count is if they participate in 3 seasons, they count 3 times. That's just how the numbers are ran in this report. So those numbers can be a little skewed. We don't have 669 total athletes, but if they participate 3 times, they count 3 times. Twice, they count twice. In girls, we were up a total of 46 female participants, and then overall 64 more participants participated this year than a year ago. So overall, pretty good numbers, pretty steady numbers in that case. If you go to the next slide, single versus multi-sport is always one I like to kind of keep a look into as well. If you look, our numbers have stayed very similar from last year to this year. Single sport, again, typically your 3-sport athletes, it is hard to keep a 3-sport athlete to their senior year. If you've ever been a parent of a 3-sport athlete or been a 3-sport athlete, you know the amount of hours that they're putting in are astronomical, especially in today's day and age of limited contact, where they basically can potentially have 3 practices in a season. It's a lot of time commitment. So we typically have seen those numbers just are traditionally low. Thankfully, so far, year to year has actually either went up or kind of stayed pretty stagnant year over year at this point. For 3-sport, 2-sport athletes again have stayed pretty traditionally the same, and same for 1-sport overall. We're looking at an overall increase of 14 athletes in that comparison. Next up, student leadership group. We've kind of continued to modify that. This year it started a little late without having an athletic trainer this fall. My plate was a little busier, and we've decided to kind of pause this in the fall, so we started more in the spring. We've had over 25 athletes consistently coming, and just to kind of put that in perspective, that is at 7 a.m. Almost 12 straight Mondays here this spring with a couple breaks. So to get that many athletes, basically freshmen, sophomore, juniors showing up regularly on Monday morning. I'm super impressed by them. Obviously shows that they have that leadership potential. We had conversations that Mr. Corbett and I led on positivity, servant leadership, discipline, and victor mentality. We also brought in guest speakers. When we get to, you go ahead and go to the next slide actually. You can see Mr. Dan Davis. He is the women's basketball coach at Grace College. He's typically a fan favorite from both years of our student leadership. He has more energy than I can ever imagine, and when he comes in at 7 a.m., he keeps our kids pretty wide awake. We've also brought in Chad Briscoe, the AD at Grace. Mr. Singleton was actually just one of our guest speakers this year talking about victor mentality, and then Garrett Tharp was also one of our speakers. So we've had some really great guest speakers. We kept it a little bit shorter this year as far as overall sessions, and we'll kind of continue to evaluate that and how we want to continue to see that grow moving forward. Facility and equipment improvements. This was a big one this year. We'll get to budget in a little bit, but our budget was really pretty strong this year, so allowed us to make a few more purchases. As I shared last year, my goal usually every year is to operate on kind of a zero-sum budget. What we bring in, we try to spend out. That way our athletics have what they need. And again, not buy frivolous purchases, but things that we feel like can help our facilities and our different events improve. One of the best ones was, it saved me time today, was purchasing long jump pit covers at track. If you know, we have 2 sand pits. If you leave them uncovered, which is pretty much how we had proceeded over the last few years, or these big tarps that kill all the grass around the sand pit, it was a lot. And if you don't cover them, and we get all the rain like we did last night, trying to have a track meet today at 6 o'clock was not super helpful. So today we have 2 weighted covers. They're logoed. They look really nice. We were able to take those off, rake the sand for about 5 minutes, and we were ready to play tonight, rather than myself or a couple others spending most of the day out there raking and turning the sand over to get it soft enough to be able to compete. So those have easily proven themselves valuable this year. We also purchased clay for the pitching area and right-handed batter's box at softball. If you ever watch a softball game, the pitcher typically digs a hole that's this deep, and it's super fun to try to rake back in and keep from getting soaked and leaving puddles for the next game. So our softball staff actually put that in for us. I was able to re-level the mound, put that in, so that way it takes us about 10 minutes at the end of every event to just pile that back up and not allow them to dig so deep. And also, again, creates a much safer environment for the softball field as well. And then we purchased weighted tarps for JV baseball. That was allowed. The 2 we had were ripped to shreds. They weren't covering anything or keeping anything dry. So again, with all the rain we got last night, it was able to keep both of those areas completely dry. We were able to just pull them off and pretty much ready to play today because of that. So those were super helpful as well. Next up, we had all of our swimming timing equipment checked. I always like to make the joke that swimming and electronics don't mix. So trying to buy electronic equipment to put inside a pool always is mind-blowing to me. So we had a Daktronics come in. One of the things that we are starting to plan for in the future, Daktronics is getting out of the swimming business. So eventually we're going to have to switch timing systems, but they were able to come in, make sure all our equipment was currently working, replace parts while they still have them, which should buy us a good amount of life to the end of that equipment before we'll have to purchase a new. So it was a little over $600, but every penny of that was well spent because we had 0 timing errors after our first event, just getting all that kind of taken care of. It was super helpful this year. New soccer scoreboards were purchased out at Kent. Both of those are now LED lights. The best part about it is you can have a 10 o'clock game on a Saturday and you can actually see the lights and see what the score is. I still vividly remember last year being out there on a Saturday and trying to figure out how much time was left, what the score was, because the old lights you just couldn't see anything. So that has made that area a lot nicer, and we also can adjust home and away and put the names in there for when we host state level events as well. And then 2 other things we were able to purchase here was a new tennis ball machine. We were able to give a portion of that to help our tennis team purchase a new one for feeding and those kind of things. And then also we're able to get some new track hurdle bars as ours have started to break, along with a cheer mat, and we bought some concussion headgear for our cheerleaders as well. And then facility plans. One of our main goals going forward is to work with the park. And it's kind of a public campaign to build a double batting cage. That's one of the areas I'm hoping to move on this summer and work with them to provide that out at softball. Allow them to hit. Right now our softball team hits inside and then goes down to the park for the rest of their practice. So we're hoping to commit to doing that to give them some areas to hit down there and be able to have a full outdoor practice without having to kind of divide their time. And then we're also looking at redoing the press box down there, again with a partnership with the park and Mr. Height. We'll be kind of looking at a multi-stage approach to kind of continue to chip away at making that field better as a whole. Another goal is to install a scoreboard at JV baseball. As much as I do have kind of come to enjoy and appreciate our chalk scoreboard, it is time probably to move on from that out at JV baseball. So we are working towards that as well. And then also redoing the main gym, which would impact wrestling, volleyball, basketball programs that I've spoken on previously at other board meetings. Again, the overall budget, as I talked about, was really healthy this year. One of those reasons why is we purchased an additional home game. When I came in, we had either 4 or 5 home games, 4 home games back-to-back years. Football schedule, you should have 4 home games one year, 5 the next, and rotate back and forth. As somehow that got messed up, we only had 4 back-to-back years and lost income essentially, which can range anywhere between $4,000 and $5,000 per home game. So we were able to purchase one. We talked Twin Lakes into coming week 1 this year. They will not be our week 1 opponent this upcoming year. But with that, basically all we did was give them their pre-sale tickets. And we still made a better gate than what we would have on any other home game, even with giving them those pre-sale tickets. So we had 6 home games this year, again accounting for almost another $8,000 to $10,000, which is what's reflected in that budget being up almost $17,000 from 23-24. And then again, estimated budget for next year is around $148,000. Most of that factoring in, again, it's a loss of 2 home varsity football games. We bought 1, and this year is a 4-year home game rather than a 5. Income sources, I like charts and colorful graphs, so biggest piece to that, right, Big Red Open is basically a lot of our income. We operate almost 31% of our income is from the Big Red Open. And sponsorships, we then get about 22.5% of our income from fall sports. Again, that's just generated from gate revenue. Winter income is about 18%, and then the next highest there again is concessions. It sits at about 11% of our income. And then biggest expenses this year, again, are always uniforms is one of the main ones. Our goal is we've gotten on a 5-year uniform rotation. We had fallen off of that when COVID hit. Obviously, budgets were a lot tighter, and some teams did not get uniforms. So over the first 5 years of my time here, we're getting back onto that and committing to getting them where basically every 5 years they would have a brand new home and away set. That keeps our budget right around $25,000 to $30,000 a year for uniforms. With our switch to Winning Edge this past year as well, we were able to save $9,000 in uniforms because we were able to get half of our uniforms for free for football. So instead of almost $19,000 in uniform costs, we only spent $9,000. So that will keep that number down for next year as well. Transportation, we estimate to be about $18,000 this year. That number obviously is not finalized with still going in spring sports. Equipment improvements, again, a lot of the stuff that I mentioned to you ended up being about $55,000. And then officials are up about $10,000 from last year. We're at about $40,000 of total cost. But again, we increased their pay again $5, trying to help us stay competitive and stay at the top of the NLC conference as far as what we pay officials. So that way, hopefully, we can get a better choice of officials that come to our home events. Big Red Open 2025, and again, accounts for almost 31% of our budget. Our goal is to stay right, a little over what we raised this past year, which was a little over $48,000. Again, helps us cover those uniforms. This year, our uniform purchases are 1 set for football, and then girls and boys track. Looking to hopefully increase this to 2 flights of golfers. We've been kind of borderline each year. The first year we had to turn a couple teams away, and we were about the same this past year. So looking at that with working with Pretty Lake to consider that making a double event, which would bring in a little bit more money for us that day as well. Then plans for 25-26. One of the things we're working on right now is just creating a vision, mission, and action steps with our athletic department, working with athletes, parents, coaches, and staff. Again, just to get some of their feedback before we make those final decisions on what that's going to look like going into next year. Increasing coaching education opportunities. We meet 3 to 4 times a year right now, so just figuring out what those things look like. We did a book study with a few of our coaches this past year. So again, continue to figure out what the best way to do that is and continue to help our coaches grow. And at the end of the day, just continuing our overall improvement of operations, trying to maximize what we do, what's best for our kids, And at the end of the day, being fiscally responsible with what we're doing in the athletic department as well. Other than that, if you don't have any questions, I think I kept it under 31 and a half minutes.
Good job,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Thank you, Josh.
Yeah.
I do have a quick
Sure,
question,
yeah,
Josh.
yeah.
How are we doing with donations for the gym floor?
So right now we're sitting at about 5,000, I think, total. So it's not gone as great yet, but we are starting to continue to have those in. We're going to do another push from me as well.
Fundraising for that.
Yeah, we'll continue to reach out. I know we have some bigger donors that have not gotten their pledge in yet, so we'll continue to personally reach out to some of those. With spring being kind of busy, that is on the radar, but hadn't gotten to the top of my list yet. But we will be reaching out to some of those donors to make sure we hopefully increase that total number.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks, Josh.
Yep, thank you.
Can we run through them again? Jen, you ready? 3.4?
Yeah. Any questions?
All right, 4.1 monthly remarks.
Yeah, thank you to Michelle Zentz, Natalie Watterson, and the students for their participation, highlighting the exciting initiatives and accomplishments at Riverside. We had a strong turnout for the 3rd annual Dia del Nino. I probably said that wrong, but that's okay. This past Saturday, it's great to see that event continue to grow each year. The burrito that I had was fantastic. Couple of reminders, our region meeting is scheduled for tomorrow evening at Swan Lake, beginning at 5:30. Hope to see all of you there. Scholarship awards will be presented this Friday at 8:30 a.m. at the high school gym. We hope that you can join us for that as well. Looking ahead to our June meeting, we will receive an update from CTE and Food Services. And so the next monthly meeting is June 3rd, 6 p.m. right here.
Okay, thank you. 5.1, audience participation. All right, 6.1, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor,